here's Brody Brazil.
Well, obviously, this has been a World Series full of twists and turns already. And I mean, honestly, who really could have predicted the Dodgers taking games 1 and 2 and 3, largely on the back and bat of the previously injured Freddie Freeman, who famously got things started with a walk-off grand slam to take Game 1 in Southern California. And that brings us to last night in New York. It's the Yankees facing elimination. They're only 2 pitches into their very first at-bats, and they're trailing this game 2-0. It has a very bad feel of a sweep and elimination, and usually in this World Series, whoever scores first goes on to win the game. But it's 2-0. It's a 1-0 count. Gleyber Torres is the batter. He hits this one in foul territory, and that's where Mookie Betts is going to make the catch, basically right on the boundary of in play or in the stands, but it's a foul ball. Betts goes up to grab it. He does in the midst of fans, and what seems right here pretty innocent to start suddenly takes a dramatic twist. Those fans get in the way. We'll see it more here on the replays, but instantly they're already talking to the umpire, trying to state their case of the boundary of what's on the field versus what's in the stands, and what they were doing was just fine because Mookie tried to go in the stands, as he did, to make the catch. Thing is, if a player goes in the stands, you're not allowed to do pretty much anything or everything that you want. And at the end of this video, we'll get into some takeaways, some overall feelings about this, how it happened, how it played out, and what should happen from here on. But initially here, now we're looking at the replay. Everything looks fine between these 2 fans and Mookie Betts. There he is, reaching over, trying to make that catch. The ball is already in his glove. This fan is just putting up hands, I guess, trying to stop the ball from being caught, which I think there's some ways that a fan could make things difficult on an outfielder, maybe without touching the player or necessarily getting in the way. What if the fan simply put their glove up over Mookie Betts and was able to make the catch before he did, and this ball was in foul territory? Like, that happens on a pretty regular basis. What else are you going to do? So in this situation, I mean, I don't see a lot wrong here. Certainly this fan reaching out, it's what most fans are going to do. There is going to be some collision, some contact when a player reaches up and goes in the stands. But here is where it turns. Betts has clearly already caught this baseball, and this fan right here now has his claws on Mookie's glove. Now, I know his name. I know he's been talked about. I know he's been interviewed after the game at a bar. I'm not going to get into all the details and promote that or give him any more coverage than necessary. We'll call him Yankees fan number 1 and Yankees fan number 2. Fan number 1 gets their hands on Mookie's glove and, I mean, is literally restraining Mookie. Now, he's already made the catch. You can see he's not tall enough to, like, pull that glove back down and have any leverage to get it out of the fan's hand. I'm kind of questioning at this point why Mookie just wouldn't slide his hand out of the glove. You've made the catch. It's clear. Let the glove go. You'll get it back. Security's there. The umpires have already seen this. But Mookie's like trying to hang on and trying to fight back just to make sure everybody knows he made that catch and he got that first out for the Dodgers of the game. And then fan number 2 now has hands on Mookie. And I mean, this is where it takes an even worse step. As if it wasn't bad that fan number 1 already was gripping the glove and holding Mookie in a weird situation. And we'll talk about what if Mookie got hurt right there. I mean, this is kind of a talking point and something we're making a video about here. This could have gone far worse had it been a different situation in the game or a different result of Mookie's health or his wrist or something like that. Anyway, but now you've got, I mean, this right here, as much as grabbing the glove from fan 1 is bad, grabbing Mookie by the wrist so that fan 1 can start prying the baseball out of the glove, there's no reasonable explanation for that. And now the baseball finally comes loose. Fan number 2 still has their hand holding Mookie. The body language and reaction right here, and I just kind of want you to take note of this. There's no remorse right here. There's kind of clear intent. There's almost a smirk on the face as fan number 1 is doing this. And so that's all so crazy that happened on a national stage and got caught in front of an audience, and everybody was able to see it from multiple angles in super slow motion. There's no question what we witnessed. And I'll say it like this. There's only one defense that I can give Yankees fans number 1 and 2 right there. Nothing could have been entirely planned in advance. Now, I did see some interview quotes from after the fact, and this individual said that it was always their intention. It was a little bit premeditated that if a baseball goes into that corner and they're sitting there, they're going to do something to help the Yankees. And granted, I said before, there are ways to maybe help your team to catch a ball higher than a player can, to make sure that that ball doesn't come down into a player's glove on the opposition team. There are ways to do it and not hurt anybody and grab anybody and keep pulling after the play is already done. But nothing, I mean, they couldn't have planned Torres hitting the ball their direction. What are the chances of all the games you've ever been to, all the Major League Baseball games you've ever been to? How many foul balls have landed in your seat or have been hit right at you? Some have been close, probably, if you've gone to a lot of games, but coming right at you in that situation, my point is they could have premeditated to think that they would always have a plan should this situation arise, but there was no control that 2 fans could make a situation like this happen no matter what they say. Now, that's their only defense. Everything after that kind of goes against what they did and maybe what should happen next. Fans pay a lot of money for sports tickets. I know, this is the World Series. I bet you those tickets right there on the foul line, in the first row, couple grand. Easily. But it doesn't matter how much you pay to go to a game. Basic human rules and decency always need to be applied. Like grabbing somebody, pulling at them, maybe potentially hurting them over a foul ball, over an out or not. And I apply this to like a hotel room. Just because you get a hotel room for a night doesn't mean, well, I paid for it, I get to do whatever I want with it. I'll trash the place. You don't get to pay for sports tickets and then act like an idiot once you get there. You paid for the right to sit in that seat and watch the game in front of you. That's it. You don't get to rent a car and then drive it off a cliff and then, well, oh, what? I paid for it. What? I rented it for the day. I brought it back all banged up, but, I brought it back. You don't get to do whatever you want just because you're paying for the service or the rights to do something for a temporary period of time. Could you imagine if Mookie Betts did get hurt on that play? And I mean, a lot of people think that this was a turning point of the baseball game last night. It still had lots of back and forth and lead changes, and ultimately the Yankees won big, right? So the end of their season was delayed or postponed. It still feels like the series is totally in the Dodgers' control, but because they won last night and because they were down early and because this was kind of a turning point, I mean, could you imagine if Mookie had got hurt and the Yankees went on to win the game? Now, Betts downplayed all of this afterwards, right? He was asked in the clubhouse about the situation, what happened, and his whole thing was, I don't want to make a big deal out of this. I want to let this just come and go and pretend like it never happened. It didn't impact the game. It was no big deal. It was an out, right? The umpires got it right quickly, and that's who those fans were trying to plead with, was the umpires. Was it a catch? Was it not a catch? I mean, clearly it was a catch. But imagine if it went 2 steps deeper and Mookie was injured. Now we would be talking about a lot more drama. The body language of fans 1 and fan 2 did not indicate any instant remorse or regret. And if you're Steve Bartman or if you're any fan who's ever interfered and done the wrong thing at the wrong time, you kind of know, like, oh man, what? And you've seen that before. What did I just do? Or uh-oh, like there's that panic look of what did I just do? And I would have, if I would have seen that to any degree with those fans, I wouldn't be making this video. I wouldn't be so clear and precise on my feelings. I'd give them a little bit of leeway. But instead, there was like no remorse. There was no body language that showed any regret. It was like, yeah, I did that. What? You're kicking me out? And so I think because of that, it shows, and I'm not here to judge all Yankee fans. That can't be it. It's not a good look to associate with your fan base. I think if this was the other way around, I think Dodger fans should probably be feeling a certain way. And you know what? Dodger fans kind of had their own run-in with Jurickson Profar, I want to say, in left field in the NLCS. So the point is here, it doesn't, let's take fan bases out of this. Let's not make this a Yankees thing, although it is interesting because it was Yankee fans. You got to be better than this as sports fans, as baseball fans. And that's why I'll end the video by saying this. These two fans should face some kind of MLB-wide restriction or ban. And I'm not here to say, well, what the sentence should be, but is it no more games for the rest of this World Series, no more games ever at Yankee Stadium, no more games next year? I don't know how they do this. Eventually, sports teams and leagues, they're working on facial recognition for fans coming into the game, and this is how they'll block some people from coming. This is how they'll be able to enforce a ban on certain fans and a penalty that they'll face after doing certain things like this. I'm not here to say that that's entirely great or that's entirely in everybody's best interest, the facial recognition thing, but this is what the future holds. And so I feel like there has to be some kind of penalty for this. I heard a report that those two fans are headed back to the next Yankee-Dodger game. Probably in the same seats. Are they their seats? I don't know. But the point is, I think there has to be some kind of action taken by baseball to make a point, to make a lesson out of these two fans. You can't have anybody replicating this, and that's another thing. Now that it's been seen, everybody clearly saw what happened, and if they get away with it, what do you think the message is to everybody else? All right, that's the end of this video. Thanks for making it to the end. Thumbs up down below. Helps me, this video, this channel. Don't forget, before this is over, go down there, hit that subscribe button. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.